There were those commercials the Canadian government put out, and I remember it being like, when you have dyslexia, is this a P or is it a B? A Q or a D? And it was just turning and flipping, and it was, it's exactly what they have, seeing the, and words like was turn into saw and vice versa. Today I'm going to show you a feature of the Overdrive Reader app that's commonly used to take eBooks from the library or wherever else and read them on a tablet, for example. But what you might not know is that you can change the font scheme, and so in such books as these for kids, that you know, in the print form, you're not ever going to be able to do this. I'll choose Matilda, maybe. You might notice that this looks a little different from what you might expect to see in a book in regular print. The reason is Overdrive has the ability to change font style, and the font style here is OpenDyslexic, and there's another flavor, OpenDyslexic Bold. And just having come upon this by chance, I just realized that this might be very useful for a couple of my students. Yeah, it's mostly the bottom. It's the weight of the bottom of letters that would keep them from changing orientation to the dyslexic reader. I also had upped the point size because that's sort of a psychological factor, is also that there's so much text and they think it's such an overwhelming like prospect to read that much. So part of it is to sort of try to minimize how. So yeah, that does give the advantage of making it appear less than it is. We had no hesitation saying that yes, this is easier to read when I asked. So I have every reason to believe. And she is fairly dyslexic. I guess, the sides of letters where it would be more applicable is like a G. That right side weighting is much heavier. And another thing we wanted to talk about was how to try to attempt to write in this font. I mean, it's not rocket science, but just looking at the way that it's written and what I've said before, you know, you just make an extra effort to make that weight of the bottom more pronounced, and you just kind of emphasize. And the M's got the interesting, this is actually heavier, this is kind of not as heavy. That's a hard one actually, but yeah, it's not a hard adjustment to make to writing. Like, some letters don't get confused for anything, so I guess H is just kind of, you could gloss over and do a normal H, do a normal R, sort of, more or less. But it's an open source, you know, this isn't something that's prohibitive to have in any platform, on every operating system, and every word processing application, and every educational, you know, website, game, whatever. This would be there's no obstacle to licensing this, but I don't know, I've just never heard of it before this point in time. And then it says, oh, we have large print books for, you know, visually impaired. We've had that for years and years and years and years, but there's not a single that I know of print publisher who does a print run of books in a dyslexic font. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong.